We start off today's list with a legend of buried treasure. So you treasure hunters out there, listen up. This one is a tough one to crack. The Beale treasure. A man named Thomas Jefferson Beale uncovered a great load of gold and silver, said to be worth several millions, while mining for gold in Colorado sometime in the 1820s. On his way back east, Beale stopped in Bedford, Virginia because he believed he was being followed. He buried the treasure and then made up stories and ciphers as a way to recover his treasure when he felt it was safe. He locked the ciphers in a lockbox and left it with an innkeeper named Robert Morse. Beale never did return to get those ciphers, and about 23 years later, Morse opened the box and found the ciphers, which he then passed on to a friend who spent the next 20 years attempting to break the ciphers, only to figure out one of them, the second one. According to the second cipher, the successful treasure hunter will find 3 tons of treasure broken down into 63 million in gold, 1 million in silver, and 13,000 in jewels. The friend, unable to figure out the other ciphers, published a pamphlet called Beale's Ciphers Pamphlet. People have searched for this treasure, digging up various areas of the county to no avail other than to get arrested for trespassing, although some did have permission. But to this day, the treasure still has not been found, and the other 2 ciphers have remained unsolved. Do you think you can decipher the codes and find the buried treasure? If you do, don't forget where you heard it from. Our next legend is straight out of Hollywood. No, I'm not talking about California, but Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. On top of a large hill overlooking Richmond is one of the oldest cemeteries in the country. There have been many legends surrounding this particular cemetery. In this cemetery is a mausoleum that bears the name W. W. Poole, dated 1913, and according to legends holds the remains of a vampire. According to the legends, Poole was run out of England in the 1800s for being a vampire, and he settled in Virginia. Another legend of the cemetery is that sometime around 1925, while tunneling under Churchill near the cemetery, the tunnel collapsed, burying alive several workers. It is believed by many that the collapse awoke something evil that had been living under Churchill for centuries. During the rescue, the rescuers came across a man dressed in what they described as older-style clothing, crouched over one of the bodies, eating it. They chased the man, who ran out into the cemetery and into the mausoleum with the name W. W. Poole. When the rescuers went in after the man, there was no one there. From that day on, there have been reports of a man who on occasion comes out of the Poole mausoleum and hunts anyone who happens to be in the cemetery at night. Now that I've told you a legend about a vampire, it's only right to mention a legend about a werewolf. The werewolf of Henrico County. There are reports of a wolf-like creature covered in pale gray hair that stands 6 foot tall with the body of a human and a head like a wolf. It is also reported that the beast stands on its hind legs to chase away any attackers. The creature has not been known to hurt anyone, just chases people away, probably to keep his privacy. There are also reports from residents of strange howling sounds. Many describe the sounds as being somewhat like a dog, but with the intensity and tone different from the average canine. And while we're talking about strange beasts roaming Virginia, we can't forget about the Bigfoot-like creature, the Beast of Gum Hill. Most claims of Bigfoot sightings come from the Pacific Northwest and the Great Lakes area, but there are several that have come from Southern Virginia. Actually, Virginia has some of the oldest sightings on record dating back before the 1880s. 2 of the more recent sightings come from 2014. One from a homeowner who was sitting outside on his back porch when he heard what sounded like a tree knock, followed by a throaty whoop from somewhere in the woods behind his house. Another sighting comes from hikers in Rockingham County. They reported seeing a huge, human-like creature with long, reddish-brown hair near Raleigh Springs. Another more recent report comes in around September 2015. Late in the evening, a woman from Bedford County was driving when she saw a Bigfoot with a baby walking along the road. She said at first she thought it was a deer until she saw it holding something that looked like a human baby. When she called the police, they hesitated to believe her. The resident Bigfoot is known as the Beast of Gum Hill and is spotted mostly around the Saltsville area and has been featured on an episode of Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. Virginia is known as the state for lovers. Our next legend is a tragic tale of forbidden love. Long before the Europeans settled in Virginia, in the area known today as Scotts County, there was a Shawnee brave and a Cherokee girl who met by chance while walking through the woods that border their people's lands. The tribes were not at war, but they did not like each other very much. The first meeting of the two was a brief one, but love at first sight nonetheless. Over the next several months, they would meet at the same spot at the top of the cliff, hidden from both tribes. Or so they thought. One day they were spotted by a Cherokee brave who ran back to the girl's parents and told them everything. The girl was then forbidden to ever see the boy again. Weeks passed, and the Shawnee brave continued to go back to their special meeting place in hopes to see his love again. Finally, one day the girl was able to get back. The brave found her standing on the edge of the cliff. The girl told her brave that her parents had found out and they had forbidden her from ever seeing him again. Not wanting to end their love affair, the two held hands at the edge of the cliff, kissed one more time, then stepped off the side into the depths below to be with each other for eternity. It is said that the lovers still meet at the top of that cliff. Some have reported to even see them kiss and step off the cliff together. Our next legend is another sad story of one of our founding fathers' wives. Sarah Henry, wife of Patrick Henry, one of the founding fathers of the United States, is said to haunt the Scotchtown plantation in Hanover County. After Sarah gave birth to her sixth child, she started showing signs of mental illness and eventually had to be restrained with a straitjacket on occasion. Unable to bear the thought of putting his beloved wife in a sanitarium, Patrick Henry hid her away in his home to keep her safe. Sarah died in 1775 and was buried in secret in an unmarked grave on the property. Visitors to the plantation have reported experiencing odd occurrences, and they have attributed those to Sarah's spirit. It is reported that Sarah will appear as a figure in white, lighting candles at night in the windows. She has also been reported to be heard screaming, which has scared off many residents. Patrick Henry's own great-great-great-granddaughter even refused to stay at the house overnight because she felt Sarah's presence. Hotels are notorious for being haunted, and the Cavalier Hotel in Virginia Beach is no exception. The Cavalier Hotel has been subject to rumors for many years. It is said the hotel's first owner shot himself on the 6th floor. Then, in 1929, the Coors Beer founder jumped out of an open window on the 6th floor in what was thought to be a suicide, but many believe he was actually pushed to his death. Another gruesome story from the hotel is that of a little girl who drowned in the motel's pool when she went out to get her cat who wandered from her room. A kind old bellman has been seen on the stairs between the 5th and 6th floors, warning guests of ghosts ahead. When the guests would turn to the bellman to question him, he would disappear. Other reports from the hotel include the piano in the crystal ballroom playing with no one seated at it, toilets flushing on their own, the front desk receiving mysterious calls from unoccupied rooms on the 6th floor, and security guards reported lights on in unoccupied rooms also on the 6th floor. Guests have also reported wet footprints and paw prints throughout the hotel, and many have reported hearing a cat meow in the pool area. If ever there was a place that reminds us that things are not always what they seem, then the legend of Crawford Road in Yorktown, Virginia will definitely make you think twice. Even though it has a beautiful landscape and some astounding historical architecture, many locals will go out of their way to avoid the road, with most refusing to go there at night. One story tells of a group of kids out cruising late at night, and they decided to go down Crawford Road for some fun. Joking around and laughing and singing, everything was fine. That is, until they reached the bridge. Suddenly, the CD they were listening to let out a high-pitched shrieking sound that lasted for about 10 seconds. When they finally got away from the bridge, it stopped and the CD played as normal. Now, the noise is still said to be on that CD, and the group of friends never returned to that bridge. Another story that is similar to the first, with a group of friends driving down Crawford Road. Again, everything was fine until they got to the bridge. While driving, they felt like they ran over something, so they stopped and got out of the car to check. They found nothing. Getting back in the car, they left when suddenly the car windows fogged up and handprints were seen going up the windows from the outside. Too scared to stop now, they kept on driving, and then this thud started from the outside. First, the top of the windshield, then the top of the car, and finally, the top of the trunk. They started thinking that something might have fell on top of the car, or that maybe something was trying to get in. Finally, the thudding stopped, but that's when they heard the smearing sound at the back window. Whatever had fallen on the car had slid down and fell off. They got out to check, and again, there was nothing. The most popular story surrounding Crawford Road is of a wedding gone wrong. Years ago, a wedding took place in the area, but the bride was not happy, and to escape her fate, she hung herself from the bridge at Crawford Road. Her hanging body can still be seen hanging from the bridge, if you're at the bridge at the right time. One report says a woman was driving down Crawford Road, and just as she was about to pass under the bridge, she saw a lady in a white dress standing on the top of the bridge looking down. After driving below the bridge, she looked back and saw the lady walk to the ledge and jump off, but the apparition did not hit the ground. She stopped mid-air, swaying like she was hanging from a noose. There have also been several reports of the KKK in the area, with many believing that the members still gather at the bridge for lynches and secret meetings. If that is true, that means Crawford Road Bridge holds numerous deaths, which coincide with the reports of people seeing black shadowy apparitions hung in rows by the bridge, like the lady in white, hanging mid-air, swaying as if hanging by a noose. There have also been many car accidents reported to have happened. Although some turned out okay, many did not. Reports say that vehicles swerved to miss the apparition standing in the road. If you drive down the road in daylight, you will see the many skid marks and the scattered car parts from the various accidents. Crawford Road is guarded by fences on both sides, but beyond the fence lies a vast woods with abandoned houses that have no doors. Reports say that if you look inside these buildings, you can see red glowing eyes in the open doorways. They say the eyes watch you as you move around, and if you get too close, they disappear. There are reports that say that eerie feelings are felt, as if someone is watching you. Apparitions have also been seen walking along the walls and disappearing through them. Voices are heard in the houses. People have also been randomly touched or even stepped on with no one else around. Old-time asylums and sanitariums tend to provoke images of patients who were once mistreated in these facilities that were supposed to help, but instead tortured and killed many. Our next legend is no exception to the rule. In the town of Radford in southwest Virginia, there is a building that was once St. Albans School for Boys. The school closed in 1911, and sometime around 1916, Dr. J.C. King purchased the building and turned it into a sanitarium for the criminally insane. Dr. King was a researcher who used experimental procedures on his patients, including insulin coma therapy and hydroelectroshock therapy. Many patients checked in, but never checked out. The facility finally closed its doors in the 1990s, but it has been reported to still be occupied by the ghosts of the patients who were once tortured there. One room has become known as the suicide bathroom because 2 patients took their own lives there. In this room, patients received hydrotherapy treatments. Doctors are said to have wrapped patients in freezing cold towels, while others would be strapped down in steaming hot water vats for days at a time. They were also said to have blasted patients with fire hoses. Another seemingly active location is the bowling alley, which is said to be haunted by a little girl that was a child of a patient at the hospital. The many hallways at St. Albans are also haunted by dark figures that seem to dart in and out of view. Along with the tortured souls of patients who once lived there, St. Albans is also believed to be haunted by some of the boys that went to school there. During that time, hazing was popular and accepted. Unfortunately, there were also several deaths associated with the hazing that happened. St. Albans does allow paranormal investigators at certain times throughout the year. And finally, what list of urban legends of Virginia would be complete without the famous Bunnyman of Fairfax? Sometime in the early 20th century, deep in the woods that divided Clifton and Fairfax Station, there was an asylum for the insane. When the asylum closed its doors, all the residents were bused to Lorton Prison. On the way to the prison, one bus swerved to miss something in the road and crashed, which allowed many of the inmates to escape. They were all quickly caught, all but one man, Douglas Griffin. He was never found. During the search for Griffin, the police found a trail of half-eaten, gutted bunnies, with many of them hanging from Fairfax Station Bridge. The police searched for months with no avail. Then, on Halloween night, a group of teenagers were hanging out under the bridge. The next day, their bodies were found hanging from the bridge, gutted just like the bunnies. Another version of the Bunnyman is on October 18, 1970. An Air Force Academy cadet and his fiancée were sitting in a car on Guinea Road in Fairfax around midnight near the cadet's uncle's house. Suddenly, a man dressed in a white suit with long bunny ears appeared, yelling at the couple that they were on private property and that he had their tag number. Then, the strange man threw a wood-handled hatchet through the front window. Lucky for the couple, they were not hurt. A couple of weeks later, about a block away from the first incident, a private security guard saw a man-beast on the front porch of a new, unoccupied house holding an axe. The security guard started to talk with the man, but the man-beast started chopping at the porch pole, threatening the security guard, saying, "All you people trespass around here. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to bust you in the head." The security guard went to the police, but when the incident was investigated, nothing was found.